Hey, this is Austin Weber with Weber Bracketology, where every day is Selection Sunday. And the selection committee just announced their top 16 seeds just a few minutes before I started this video. And we're going to take a look at how they have these teams set up and how that compares to what I saw. And I'm going to try and take a look and see what differences, why they may have picked the way they did compared to what I did. So, I don't have it on the screen, but I can open it. I put it on did it on the Twitter. Okay, so let's pull this up really quick. So, you can see the top 16 seeds were Alabama, Houston, Purdue, Kansas on the 1 line, Texas, Arizona, Baylor, and UCLA on the 2. Tennessee, Virginia, Iowa State, and Kansas State are 3s, and then Indiana, Marquette, Gonzaga, and Xavier were the 4s. They did mention 4 other teams in contention. Those were, let me see, I wrote it down: Creighton, Miami, UConn, and St. Mary's. They didn't give an order. They just mentioned, I think they said them alphabetically, is how they did it. But yeah, so in terms of my top 16, I had 15 of them. I had 15 of them. I had UConn as a 3 and Indiana as a 5, so that was the difference there. But in terms of correct seeding, we can take a look. I have the S curve open right here. I had all the 1s and all the 2s correct, and then Tennessee and Virginia. So the top 10, which is where I felt pretty confident. That was all good. It was this next section that I was most interested in. I had UConn at the second highest 3 seed. They were a 5. I had UConn as a 3, not UConn, Marquette as a 3. They were a 4. Iowa State, I had a 4. They were a 3. Gonzaga, I had right. Kansas State, I had 1 low. And Xavier had in the exact correct spot. As you can see, at Indiana 18, they were actually the highest 4 seed, which is quite surprising. And then I did have Miami as a 5, which is pretty much what they're saying. St. Mary's is a 5, what they're saying. I had Creighton as the highest 6, so I guess I'll bump them ahead of San Diego State. But now we should just take a look at these teams. Alabama was number 1 overall. I wasn't shocked by that. They mentioned the win at Houston, I know, as a big thing. But other than that, there's really no surprise there. They had Houston number 2 overall. They mentioned the Virginia win, and while I had Kansas there, all the metrics, Houston's won. They only have 2 losses. They do have 11 quad 1 and 2 wins. They do have a quad 3 loss, but I can see that there. Where I'm not really understanding is they had Purdue over Kansas. Don't mind the Kansas in the background. Ignore that for just a moment here, because if we look like in the metrics, they're very close in all of them. They're 1 separate in the net. The strength of schedule, Kansas has the highest strength of schedule. Only 1 more loss, 2 less wins away from home, but they have 2 less wins in general. They have 3 more quad 1 wins, and they played 5 less games in quad 3 and 4. So not really getting that. If Kansas beats Baylor today, I think Kansas will pass Purdue. But that was just a little bit of a puzzler to me. The only other thing I have a question about with these 8 teams is they had Arizona over Baylor. They didn't really mention anything in particular, but if we look at their resumes, the less losses. This one's also a bit of a head scratcher to me because Baylor has a lot more good wins and they don't have any bad losses. Arizona has some iffy losses on their resume. So, all in all, less losses. They have 12 wins in quad 1 and 2. I can understand this. And UCLA was there. So I understand pretty much everything they did on those top lines. And now we're going to skip through Tennessee and Virginia in this case because I'm pretty certain with how those two are. Like, they mentioned Tennessee struggles in quad 2 as why they weren't on the 2 line, which I think if they continue playing well, they'll pass up UCLA just because UCLA doesn't have the schedule really to move up more. But I'm going to pull up these next few teams. We got Iowa State, Kansas State. We have Indiana. This one was it was a surprise to me how high they were. I wasn't so much surprised that they were there on the 4 line because they were really close for me. But it was the fact that they were the highest that really it was. We're gonna take a look and see what's going on here. I'll pull up UConn as well, just because I had UConn as a 3 seed and they have them as a 5. So I guess their net ranking there doesn't matter too much. But let's take a look. Iowa State, the road struggles was really where I was like iffy on them, but they have 8 quad 1 wins, so like I fully get why they're where they're at. The committee seems to care a lot about who you beat, with that Marquette and the Houston. I mean the blah 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 Alabama with the Houston win, Houston with the at Virginia win. So it seems like those are going to be important. So I get that Iowa State is right here. I mean, I was really torn between them and UConn for that last spot on the 3 line. So I'm not surprised there. Then what's the next order? Then so it's Kansas State above Indiana. If we look at these 2 resumes, they're very similar strength of schedule. Kansas State has a much worse out of conference, and that's where I had Kansas State at 4 because of that out of conference strength of schedule. But it seems like it doesn't matter to the committee that they're 301st in that. I think they care about these quad 1 wins, and they have some really good wins away from home. And I think the road beating teams on the road seems to be really big for this committee and what they were looking at. So Kansas State, I get. Let's pull up Indiana's wins really quick. So the win at Xavier, I guess that's important. The win at Illinois, they beat Purdue and they beat Rutgers. So like, I get why they're there. I get why they're below Kansas State definitely, but let's compare them to just Marquette. Metrics wise, they're fairly similar. KenPom, they're a little bit lower. Other than that, I mean, they're pretty even. T-rank, they're a little lower, but other than that, they have a much higher strength of schedule. Okay, that seems to be important, is the overall strength of schedule, except in Kansas' case against Purdue. But we'll ignore that. Marquette has 2 less losses. Away from home, Marquette seems to be better. Marquette has more quad 1 and 2 wins. Let's take a look at who they've beat really quick. They got the Baylor win. That's big. They got the UConn win. I guess they don't have those road wins. And Indiana's got some road wins, and I guess the Purdue win is why they're over them. But so, okay, I mean, really, I saw a way you could make a case for any of these teams to really be in any order. But Indiana, I think that's a tough one for me to understand. Indiana over Marquette, but I'll give it to them. Marquette over Gonzaga. That's not surprising at all. And then Marquette Gonzaga over Xavier. That one didn't surprise me much, but I don't know what they don't like about this UConn resume. Let's pull them up as well. Let's pull up their resume. They got the win over Alabama and Iowa State. Those were, I believe, both neutral court wins, and Oklahoma State. They have a St. John's, Seton Hall losses, but I guess they don't have those road wins lately. They got Marquette at home, Creighton at home. Those Alabama and Iowa State wins. That one, that I don't get. But I mean, obviously I'm not the selection committee, so what they say kind of goes. They said Creighton was close as well, which I totally get. Creighton, they're very high in the net. They have a good resume. I get that. I just bumped them up a little bit. I'm gonna have to take a look at this. Seems like who you beat on the road was a big point they made. So yeah, I'll be taking a pretty good look at what they said. I'm gonna go through everything again. Obviously, this is all gonna change today because it's Saturday, and I mean at least either Kansas or Baylor is gonna lose today of these top seeds. There's gonna be other losses in there as well, other big wins. So interesting reveal. Indiana's in a tight one with Illinois as I record this. It's halftime that I'm recording it. Looking behind me, the second half is actually literally they just threw the ball in, and they're down by 3. So we'll see how this goes. But my bracket on Tuesday should better reflect these notes from from the selection committee. So yeah, if you want to see more March Madness bracketology, college basketball content, subscribe here and check out WeberBracketology.com, and look forward for that bracket on Tuesday, the 21st, for an updated reflection based on this committee. Yeah, but enjoy the rest of your Saturday and have a great March Madness season.